Hello ladies, Miss G here. What I want to talk about today is men and their so-called need for independence. Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We have all heard that. I'm sure, ladies, you dated or even just talked to a guy, He says like he wants a serious relationship. And actually he seems quite genuine in his intentions with you. But in the meanwhile, he keeps saying how important his independence is to him, how much he values his independence. And we are like, oh, wow, how wise, how honourable, how virtuous of you for valuing this much your independence, man. Yeah, but let's not glorify this anymore. Let's not glorify this. I'll explain why. Because that's bullshit. Just taking a sip after this nice intro. When a man feels the need to express how much he values his independence and his sense of self, you can really tell that's really of concern for him. Like he's really concerned about it. Yeah, that's because his independence and sense of self are up for grabs. That's right. I hope you heard me because I'm not gonna say it twice. When a man feels the need to express how much he values his independence and his sense of self, that's because these are up for grabs. Not gonna say it again. When a man, I'm just kidding, but yeah, you see him valuing so much his independence, that is just a shiny cover-up to hide a weak-minded people pleaser. When he says, I'm afraid to lose my independence, that's a code for I'm afraid to be in situations where I would have to stand up for myself, because I know deep down I don't have the balls to stand up for myself. And of course, these situations, where you actually have to stand up for yourself, like to communicate your needs, your boundaries and all that, well, obviously those situations, they are inherent to a romantic partnership, right? So let's not glorify anymore this thing of, the man valuing his independence, okay? It's cute, but yeah, no, let's not do that. He may say things like anything along the line of, valuing my independence, cherishing my independence, or even shit like, the last thing I want is a girlfriend that would take control over my life, and anything that sounds like where you can really tell he's truly concerned about entering a relationship and somehow he would disappear into that relationship, like his whole identity would be swallowed up. Yeah. So the guy who wants you to know how his independence is sacred, while that sounds all sanctimonious and honourable and shit, that's just his creative way of saying, I don't know how to say no. I don't have the balls to stand up for myself, for my own needs. I'm just a people pleaser and I go wherever people around me take me. In a way, by saying that, he's kind of asking you, he's imploring you, please don't take control over my life because I don't know how to defend it. He knows you have the power to step on his boundaries just by existing, just by your mere presence, and also because he cannot stop you to do so. He cannot defend his limits, So when a guy says that to you, when a guy comes at you with that shit, like he repeats that shit about how much he values his independence, it's like, okay, man, tell me how weak-minded you are without telling me you're weak-minded. That's just his way of admitting he's a people pleaser who lacks the courage to assert himself, basically. Yeah. You know, he may say, yeah, he's serious about wanting a relationship. And yes, he is probably serious about that. He wants to want a relationship. Absolutely. Best intentions in the world. No one's questioning that. Seriously. But he is also very conscious that entering a relationship, I mean, you know, letting a girlfriend in his life, having his sense of self and independence being all fragile and all, you know, that a girlfriend would ultimately lead him exactly where she wants to go. He is conscious that with him, she will not have an opposing force. He knows that deep down, he cannot be an opposing driving force. He knows that entering a relationship means for him giving up control and becoming a puppet to his partner, basically. Yeah. So at the end of the day, having said all that, can you see, ladies? Can you see that this guy, he's not looking for a girlfriend? No. He's looking for a new puppet master. That's right. He would be unlikely the pilot of his own life, if I would bet on it, really. I mean, take a look at his life. Yeah, take a look at his life. See if he has like some codependencies around him in his life. It could be with parents, with friends. And one thing, I will do a whole podcast about that, by the way. But one thing with friends, you know, on a side note, completely on a side note. You know, codependencies with friends, when you're an adult, that's super weird. Can we agree on that? It's super weird, codependencies with friends. When I mean codependencies, I mean living your life according to. Yeah, with friends, it's like, it's cute when you're a teenage girl. Like, you know, teenage girls, they want to be in the same school and sit next to each other, and they say, oh, later we will live together like in friends, or what. Yeah, shit. It's like, seriously, it's the thing where you do friendship bracelets and shit like that. Yes, you don't do that when you're a grown-up. You don't live your life according to your friends when you're a grown-up, okay? It's weird. So if that guy, like, he's in a codependency with friends, it's just me, but I don't know if it's just me. Is it you too? I find that weird, to live your life according to your friends. I mean, that's cute when you're 10 years old, yeah. It's annoying when you're 15, and it's rather disturbing past that age, codependencies with friends. But anyway, going back to the subject, yes, that man, yeah, he is looking for a puppet master. Yes. He is a puppet with his strings hanging in the back in search for a new handler, you know. But he wants a nice handler, yes, a nice puppet master, you know. A kind one, a kind girlfriend. Someone that will hold these strings, you know, but will give a lot of leeway. So yes, these guys are looking for a controlling bitch. A nice controlling bitch, but a controlling bitch really, with a kind grasp. Not a toxic grasp, but a puppet master nonetheless, really, yeah. So, ladies, see how that fits with you, how you fit with that, really. If that's your jam, to control a guy, I mean, great. No, not great. Not great at all, but I mean, that's twisted. But yeah, whatever. But don't expect that kind of person to be inspiring, you know. Like, to see him as a strong man on his purpose now. Yeah, he wouldn't be challenging you, inspiring you, or just confronting you in a healthy way. No. He's a people pleaser puppet, basically. And how can he just open your mind and soul to new horizons? I don't think he would. No, he has nothing new to bring to the table. I won't say he's an empty shell or anything. It's just saying, like, He's afraid to be swallowed up? Yeah, probably he would disappear. He's afraid to disappear in a relationship? Well, maybe it's a rational fear. That's what I want to say. Yeah. But at least, when he says, I'm afraid to lose, instead of I value my independence, there is a subtlety there that's important. When he says, I'm afraid to lose my independence, at least he speaks about fear. Like, he's conscious that that's an insecurity, that's a fear, okay? But careful how he portrays it, At least he recognizes that's a fear, but please, ladies, don't take that fear personally. Don't make it your responsibility. Don't let it project on you, really. Don't think like it's somewhat your responsibility. It's a fear of himself that has nothing to do with you. When he says he's afraid of losing his independence at the start of a relationship, yes, he might be saying like in a way, like he's afraid of you, like you would be somewhat frightening. But that's not fair, no. Let's make sure we reframe that as it should now. No, man, you're afraid of yourself, of your own weaknesses. You don't know me yet. Don't start with that shit, like starting with the principle that I'm potentially like a bitch or like a life grabber. It has nothing to do with me and everything to do with you. It has nothing to do with me overpowering you, but everything to do with you underpowering yourself. Don't let him project his fear onto you. Something I should clarify, definitely. I'm definitely not talking of guys that actually value their independence. Don't get me wrong. I just want to make sure you understand what kind of guys I'm talking about. I'm talking about guys who have that concern, I'm not talking of guys who actually value their independence, Guys who are, I don't know, on their purpose, whatever that means. The guys that don't feel threatened at every corner, the ones that are in control of their life. I'm not talking of those ones. Actually, those kind of guys, they wouldn't hit you with that shit, actually. They wouldn't bother you with that shit. No, because these men, they wouldn't say that. They wouldn't express that sort of concern to you. Because they are not concerned so much about it, about this, they don't need to be like imploring you, please don't take control of my life, pretty please. No, they don't have those concerns precisely because their independence is not fragile or threatened by anyone. That's not up for grab, basically. So no, they don't have puppet strings hanging in the back, so there are no strings to grab, basically. So yeah, that's not really a concern for them. So no, not talking of those guys that wouldn't bother you with that shit, but that they value, you can sense they value their independence. No, but I'm not talking about them. Those ones, they manage their life. Those guys, they can say yes when they mean yes. They say no when they mean no, and they say fuck off when they mean fuck off. No, I'm really talking about men that truly, they are really concerned and scared about the loss of independence. They really have this fear of manipulation over their life, and the need to express how they value their independence. That's definitely indicative of the people pleaser mentality. If he needs to make a point about how he values his independence, like he repeats that shit again, that he doesn't want a girlfriend taking control of his life. Yeah, you might note as well some, like it comes with it some behavior. He's on his guard. He on the lookout for any behavior of yours that can be perceived manipulative. Or anything that you would do that would definitely like be revealing of a covert narcissistic personality. But you know what? if you see who I'm talking about, this guy, you ask him to develop a bit more on this need for independence. Like what do you mean? What does he mean really? What do you mean, dude? I'm sure that you let him develop about that. He'll come up with his whole view how relationship works, and how like girlfriend is basically stepping into his life, with her claws, grasping over all aspects of his life. And I know, yes, it's definitely not the point, but of course, you've got girlfriends that are narcissistic bitches. They are happy to control, they want to control a guy, they are looking for a prey. Absolutely, yes. Sorry about that. Yes, you've got those women, they are definitely narcissistic bitches. Yeah, but that's not the point. The point is, man, you're just an easy prey. Stop seeing predators all around you. And stop disguising your weakness as an awesome life principle that we should all abide to, okay? The point is that this concern over losing your independence, this fear he has of manipulation over his life, means one thing. It means that he is someone that can be easily manipulated. Someone who is afraid of manipulation can only be someone who is easily manipulable, who is very influenceable. He knows that he cannot impose, let alone express, his own needs. And you know how people pleaser express their needs, how when they're not happy, when something bothers them, how they communicate their frustration. I'm sure this will sound familiar. Well, they don't say no, they say yes. They say absolutely yes to everything. They say everything is fine, but then they're all moody, they're just moody. You can sense they are in a mood. They kind of pull away, they are being all distant. Still, when you ask them, you confront them, you say, you can notice their mood. You're like, are you okay? You want to talk about it? Or even, are we fine? And yes, everything is fine. Oh, yes, we're okay. Yes, don't worry. Of course, what do you... no, it's in your mind. Don't worry, everything is fine. Yes, everything is okay. But still... it's not subtle. You can tell he's in a mood. Sorry. Yes, he's in a mood. Yeah, it's not subtle, but yeah, that's how they communicate, being all distant. Yeah. So if he's like that, out of nowhere, and not gradually, if he's like that gradually, that could mean that he simply, lost interest, or else that's something else. But really, just one day, out of nowhere, he starts being all moody, and distant. I'll tell you what happened. What happened is, he was recently in a situation with you where he needed to sit his balls on the table, and he simply didn't do it. Yeah. So instead, he's all moody, Yeah, that's this mood, that's his coward and indirect way to let you know what's up, to communicate his frustration. It's also a weird way, to keep some deniability, just in case he needs that along the line. But anyway, yes, his mood, that's not subtle. He wants you to notice his mood. Of course he wants you to see that there is discomfort. He wants you to notice his mood. Otherwise, you wouldn't notice. Simple. He wouldn't let you see. If you don't want people to see you're not okay, you simply don't show them. It's easy. Sometimes I'm sure you're frustrated about, personal stuff and shit. But I don't know, when you see some work colleagues or bosses, you manage not to show your mood because that doesn't concern them. So, no, a mood is a form of communication. It's a very indirect and coward way of communication, but still a form of communication nonetheless. So yes, he wants you to notice his mood because he wants to stir the pot. He wants you to stir the pot. He wants you to stir the pot. He doesn't want to stir the pot at all. He wants the pot to be stirred, yes, but he wants you to stir the pot. Definitely, really. He wants you to decode that, I don't know, maybe that yes he said meant no, without the need of saying no, because that's difficult for him, he doesn't have the courage for that. Now, I have said all that, and I know how I sound. And I don't want to throw the first stone at people with insecurities. We all have our insecurities. Me first, please, me first. And people pleaser, I know it's hard. I used to be a people pleaser, I think at some point before I used to be a people pleaser, and I worked on that, So I know it's hard to say no, to stand your ground, It's fine, we're not blaming anyone. We're not asking men to be, all aligned and wise, and we don't expect them to be the Dalai Lama. It's fine. That doesn't make him bad. That doesn't make him a bad guy. Please, hear me. He might not be a bad guy at all. Yeah. He might be a really good guy, but that's not what I'm doing here. We're not blaming people with insecurities. We all have our insecurities. What I'm doing here really is describe an insecurity, what is disguised as something empowering, like cherishing your independence. That sounds very empowering, but it stems from an insecurity. I want to make sure we stop glorifying the idea of him cherishing his independence as something very honourable, Like, I know how it sounds. It sounds like an honourable value, but really it isn't. It's just a shiny silver shield to entertain and justify a people-pleasing vice. That is no virtue, really. So yes, ladies, don't you dare sacralize this need for independence shit, no. Let's not glorify these men claiming that. Don't put them on higher grounds. And realize now that they are just weak-minded to feel that their independence and sense of self would be somewhat threatened by your mere presence. And I know they say that, my independence is like sacred. It's like, hey, that sounds like all virtues, but there's no virtue. That's just a cover-up to hide a weakness in character. If a man comes at you with that shit now, it's not a fear of losing his independence. It's a fear of being in a situation where he would need to stand up for himself because deep down he knows he doesn't have the balls for it. Make no mistake. But the man that hits you with that, my independence is all sacred and shit, what sounds as a sanctimonious life principle, that does stem from deep insecurities. And I know, yes, men and women in general, we have basically the same insecurities. They are the same insecurities. They are human insecurities. We are all egoic creatures. But these insecurities, while being the same, they manifest differently. So sometimes, we may not understand or decode or identify what is an insecurity, and we tend to mystify what we don't understand. But in that case anyway, don't misunderstand that as an empowering life principle, okay? What I don't want anymore, and you can really tell from the way I've been saying things, it's emotionally charged, You can tell it pisses me off. Yes, it pisses me off that this insecurity is disguised as an honourable life principle. And I think it's really important to call a spade here. Because if we don't recognize this as what it is, just an insecurity, and that insecurity, like it's sugar-coated as a sanctimonious life principle, then in a way, that would be the partner responsibility to tiptoe around it, to accommodate this sanctimonious life principle. Like you would have to, in a way, swear allegiance to the sanctity of his sacred independence. No, don't do that. A man saying that to you and say how he will not tolerate manipulation, he's on the lookout for anything you would say that could be revealing that you would have a toxic grasp on him and not a kind grasp on him, But he's still looking for a full grasp. Don't get me wrong. He's still looking for a full grasp, but a kind one, someone who will be gentle, yeah. Because, he wants a full grasp. You want my take on it? Just in a nutshell? But that's because that's the only relationship dynamic he's capable of. There, I've said it. Yeah. But if he starts the relationship on the principle that you are a nasty witch until you prove otherwise, then he is not on your side, sis. He is not. And yes, if you accommodate or feel responsible for his own fragility, I'm telling you, you will forget yourself in the process. You will. And now the question is, how do you deal with that? Yeah. When, I don't know, you started dating a guy, like your new man, he's concerned about his independence and he's showing some guarded behavior. How do you deal with that? Well, you don't. You don't deal with that. That's it. That's his shit to manage. Yeah. No, you do one thing. You do one thing. Sorry. No, yes, you do. You humanize him. You stop seeing him as this, mysterious, sacred, and inaccessible creature in a relationship. You realize he's just a human after all. He's a human full of insecurities. Please, ladies, realize that, this guarded behavior, because he values his independence, stems only from insecurities of his, simply. That speaks about him, not you. Not you being potentially a bitch until you prove otherwise and you will have to jump through hoops or whatever. No, this insecurity speaks about him and himself only. You don't swear allegiance to the sacred sanctity of his independence, okay? You be you, and you don't feel responsible to soothe his own insecurity. Just, I don't know, if he says something like that, just be you and say about that, it's not relevant to you. So just say, yeah, no, we're fine. It's fine. It's okay. It's fine, man. Chill. We're good. Don't worry about me controlling your life down the line now. Worry about you having control on your own life. So yeah. Anyway, yeah. I guess we covered the whole subject now about that, but that's just my opinion, really. That's just my 2 cents on it, but am I right or am I right? Anyway, I'll see you next time, I guess.